Alright, we back with another one here, another volume. It is playoff season, and once again, it's the Franchize guy, aka the Franchize Kid, aka Young Sporty here, back to talk about it once again with the NFL playoffs going on. Of course, this weekend, another weekend full of excitement for football. It's good to be watching football, even though for someone like me, it's a little bit sad too that, it's almost near the end, but we got to talk about and get into what happened this weekend, which is really crazy. So I'm going to get right to it with another quick one. Nice little quick hit video today, another one on the way. And we're going to start off with, this Washington Commanders game versus the Detroit Lions in the second round. As we all know, Detroit Lions 15-2 this year, number one seed in the NFC. Coming off another great year. Last year making it to the NFC Championship game where shit just went crazy, all type of crazy comeback plays with the Niners, and they lost that game. And here we are where they're the number one seed. You get the first round bye, you get a week off that they needed. A lot of guys got hurt, a lot of injuries and everything. But, it's their first game they playing the Commanders, a low seed. Honestly, a team that a lot of people didn't really think would even be in the playoffs. And before I even, to get into that real quick, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that one. I'm going to be that guy that said, listen, at the beginning of the season, I said, you know what? With Dan Quinn there, Washington usually always has decent to strong or really good defenses, but they never have a good offense. Now they got a quarterback that could do his thing, and I'm gonna get to that too in a second. But I see Washington getting into the playoffs, and of course the Giants and the Cowboys not getting into the playoffs. I said that before the beginning of the year, beginning of the season. I know I wasn't recording quite then at that time and everything like that, but yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. Also, I'm gonna be that guy, my boy JAYDEN Daniels, because I've been watching this young kid play since before he was at LSU, when he used to play at Arizona State. And his freshman year, his true freshman year, all he really could throw was a deep ball. But it was the most accurate, like one of the most beautiful deep balls that I ever seen thrown by a quarterback. The only thing I was worried about is or other people worried about also, is his frame. He was really, really skinny. But when you're a freshman in college, you're coming out of high school, of course you're going to look like that. He's still a little slender now, but you see he could ball and hold his own. But I've been a fan of JAYDEN Daniels since Arizona State, when Herm Edwards was the coach there. Antonio Pierce was, I think, assistant coach and defensive coordinator there. So he was around some pretty solid leaders there to help his maturation process and becoming a football player. So I knew that even with him transferring to LSU, and he did his thing there in the SEC with the slight frame, and then he kind of worked on different levels of his passing game instead of just a rainbow deep ball that was so accurate and so nice and everything, great touch. He worked on, I seen there, more of his running game and, taking them big hits or breaking some tackles, making people miss at LSU, because that's big boy football there in the SEC. And then also I seen a little bit of him throwing at different levels sometimes. It wasn't as good, as great, but it took a couple seasons there with LSU for him to get there. And now look at him in the L, you know what I'm saying? Number 2 pick overall. You were Washington, you could do your thing. They got a nice little defense, got a good little coaching staff there, not the best and everything, but I seen that this kid was going to be one of them ones. Now, did I think that he would get all the way to the NFC Championship game? Fuck no, I ain't see that. I'm going to keep it a buck there. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it a stack there. I did not see that coming. But I had a feeling, or I felt like I knew, that Washington would make the playoffs and that JAYDEN Daniels, was going to be one of them ones. And just like I said in previous videos before, with Caleb Williams, I never saw it. I never saw it at Oklahoma. I seen flashes of good plays and this and that at USC, but against who? San Diego fucking State, San Jose State, and Tulane. You know what I'm saying? I never really saw it with Caleb. You know what I mean? So, I think it's kind of funny how it's kind of looking right now, and JAYDEN Daniels is just looking like one of them ones right now to start everything off. The other thing, too, is I'm also going to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Last week, when I was telling people, around me and everything like that, why sports, talk about sports, I say, yo, look for the upset right now. Washington could fuck around and beat Tampa Bay. Everybody's like, nah. Tampa Bay solid. Baker doing his thing. Bowles is a good coach. I don't disagree with any of that. Tampa Bay got a good defense. Todd Bowles is a solid coach. Baker is a solid to good to a really good quarterback at times, right? But something about that kid JAYDEN Daniels and also the opportunistic defense that Washington seems to play, and they got playmakers. You might not know all their names or they may not be household to you, but they make plays, and, they won that shit. So, yeah, I'll be that guy. But back to this game against Detroit, JAYDEN Daniels was just carving them up, slicing them up in the passing game. This nigga De'Ami Brown popping out of nowhere now in the last few weeks and shit, actually making plays instead of just being a special teamer or doing shit like a couple years ago, a couple seasons ago, running the wrong routes, making some drops and shit. Now it looked like, he a veteran now. So, spot starter right now, I guess, because you really don't have any other options. I think it looks like Brown is hurt. Noah Brown, the dude that made the miracle catch earlier in the season, you know what I'm saying? He's stepping up, doing his thing, making some big plays out there, showing what he could do, like he was kind of doing when he was at North Carolina in college. So, you got that going on. And then the defense is getting them turnovers. That young boy Sam was still, he showed you on the biggest stage in that championship game when Michigan, bust Washington's ass. He showed you that little nigga was all over the field, making tackles, covering his man, staying with his man, making plays on the ball and shit. And I like that. I like how his rookie season went this year, because I seen some highlights and I seen some games where that young boy was making plays in the slot, making tackles, coming up, pursuit, making plays on the ball, in the slot, and on the outside he was making plays. And this is a kid that he's not playing like how I would say in the last 5-6 years these new age DBs been playing, where these motherfuckers is just trying to stay in front of niggas and then wave their hands when the ball go incomplete like they did some. You know what I'm saying? They not looking for the ball and shit to try and pick it off. You know what I'm saying? But this nigga is playing like that, and that's what he did tonight. 2 interceptions. I know one of them was thrown to him by a receiver, where he got the first one, where he was covering that receiver. But it looks like the way he plays the game, I like that energy from a DB. He gets it. You know what I mean? You got to make the plays, yes. You got to do pursuit. You got to make them tackles, do shit that probably cornerbacks don't want to do, that want to go for the ball. But he do all of that too, and he bring the energy. He'll play inside. He'll play outside. You know what I'm saying? Even with his frame, he could stick to guys. He's got sticky coverage and sticky hands because he's catching the ball. You got 2 picks. So Washington's defense, you got to give credit to also tonight. Even with the running back by committee, Brian Robinson finally decided to play like a fucking running back that came out of Alabama, which, is not saying much because he plays like a running back that came out of Alabama. Sometimes they have good games. Sometimes they go through the season being a flop. And then sometimes they come out in a playoff game and they have a good fucking game. You know what I mean? So, and then you had Austin Eckler did his thing on a couple catches and a reverse run. Also McNichols in the mix in there. But yeah, back to the defense. They made plays. They had a pick 6. They forced a fumble. They was fucking golf up all game. So shout out to the Washington Commodores, the Commanders. You know what I mean? So they really did their thing. And it was fun to see that as far as on the defense end and on the offense end, because we know how I feel about JAYDEN Daniels already. And I think how the world is starting to feel about JAYDEN Daniels. This is one of them ones right here, and it's going to be fun to watch his career. The thing I really like about him that I've seen in the last playoff game and in this playoff game, even for his slight frame and how he likes to play the game, that motherfucker is tough. He been taking some hits to the chops now. And he don't give a fuck. He still get back up and be like, hey, yo, it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? I know this might be a little bit corny and some shit like that, but and he shows a little bit of sportsmanship too. I seen last night, in the play where they put the flag, he did the RPO, did the RPO or whatever, but he handed it off, and Pascal hits the shit out of him, which you're supposed to do, I don't know why that's a flag, especially in a situation the defender is coached, in an option or RPO situation and everything like that, that always hit the quarterback when they're running an offense like that, because you never know if it's going to keep the ball. Niggas know football. You've been coached to do that since elementary, since junior high, especially high school. If you haven't before those levels, you always got to hit the quarterback if they running an option offense or if they running an RPO offense, because you never know. You got to do that shit. And you also, in the playoffs, you got to let them know you there. Like, yeah, I'm not fucking around. But they gave the flag, and he took a big hit there. My man still got up. You know, it was a little skirmish, this, that, but he went to Pascal and was just like, hey, man, good play. I understand, I respect this, part of the game. And he telling the refs, like, yo, calm down. Like, it's part of the game, but they still got the flag. So I like that about him, too. Now, let's get to the choice side of things. I mean, the injuries really fucked them up. You know, you got the injuries on a D-line. They ain't have no sacks last night. You know what I mean? None at all. From none of their D linemen. That's the stat that I saw at the end of it all. And it didn't look like they was getting pressure when they was trying to bring linebackers and DBs, and they was bringing pressure at the wrong time. But now I understand you had to, because your D line wasn't really doing shit. And then people were dropping like flies. And then once I seen in the first quarter, old boy Meek Robinson, which is their best cover corner they had left after all the injuries, once I seen him basically snap his fucking arm in half and got shattered and shit with his shit dangling, I said, oh, it's probably a clip. It's probably a clip, because how they gonna overcome that with Washington slinging the ball around? You know what I mean? And they had that, the cornerback position, no pressure. They had to play a defense they probably didn't want to play the whole time, even though they still, you know, Aaron Glenn was scheming us for stuff, but JAYDEN Daniels was just running around it or finding someone open or just slinging it around, or even they were still getting some runs off too, obviously. Brian Robinson probably the best fucking game of the whole season. Is his best game of the whole season, because they were getting runs off too. You know, so the defense with the injuries, but not just the injuries and everything like that, just, you know, looking a little bit, I don't want to say, I ain't going to say that, but let's just keep it to the injuries, yeah. The injuries caught up with them on defense, so that was tough. But what made it even tougher is just, you know, on offense, you know, it looked like, you know, they punted in the first series, which is like, oh, shit, all right, what the fuck going on? But not just that, you giving the ball away early in the game, man. You giving the ball away. And with the points that were scored from both teams, you know, Washington's defense ain't, you know, they ain't really all that like that. Like I said, they're solid. You know, I've seen better Washington defenses in the past, yeah, but they've always been solid, right? But you can't get the ball away like that, man. You can't. And this is something I've seen with Jared Goff in big games. And no matter what, even though you have a first-round bye, you're supposed to go to the, you know what I'm saying, the championship game, whatever, it's still a big game. And you know why? It doesn't matter who they would have faced. If it would have been the Bucks or Washington, it's still or the Vikings or whoever, it's still a big game, because, you know what I mean, people still don't trust that y'all could do it yet, because it's Detroit, you know. And then the thing, like I was saying, I noticed with Jared Goff is that in big games, you know, sometimes he gets a little bit too tight. And the very first time I saw it, and when it mattered the most, and they had a lot of chances to win that fucking game, was when he was with the Rams in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Too tight, too nervous, you know what I mean? And then when they need you to do a play outside of the construct of the actual scheme, you know what I'm saying, you flop. There was a lot of plays I seen, you know, in that game against the Commanders where it's like you're rolling out, or you have time. But, of course, it's the playoffs, so niggas are going to still go crazy, and, you know, niggas going to cover, and niggas going to go crazy on that line still, even though you got the best offensive line in the league, and kind of lead through and kind of fluster you. But you're rolling out, or you're trying to find an opening. You 6'5", my nigga. Why are you skipping the ball to people's feet? If anything, I'd rather you see throw a little bit high or just a little bit behind at their number level, pad level, whatever. But I've seen a few plays where it's like he's rolling out or whatever, trying to make something happen, but he's throwing the ball at these guys' feet when they have a little bit of space or they're open or they have space to run. Like, what the fuck is that shit? At 6'5", you can't be doing that. And the three interceptions, like, you know, what are we doing here, man? You know, what do we do? You're an accurate quarterback. So, them big games being that nigga head. He plays too tight, and them big games really begin to when they get in his head. I noticed that him as a player, great guy, great player, you know what I mean? Solid and all of that, accurate, efficient, all of that shit. But these are the type of games that you're going to have to overcome and win. And we seen it a little bit last year in that game against the Niners, too, when they needed him to make some of them crazy big plays when shit started getting tough and real in there, and he can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a hump he's going to have to get over, especially if he's still going to be with Detroit. And Detroit want to get over the biggest hump, you know, of just always letting their city down. That shit tough. I feel bad for Detroit. Great city, great people from there, all of that. You know, and you know they seen it all. You know, all them people they were showing on the TV in the crowd, niggas was like about to cry. They was choking up. You know, so that shit is just unfortunate. But, you know, you can't choke in the biggest games like that. You can't be too tight like that. And you seen it too in the play call, and Ben Johnson, the best offensive play call in the game and shit, right? You saw at certain times in the game in the third quarter, it was tight. It was like, all right, come on now. We need to go now. Like, just straight vertical up the field. Let's score. Because they was down like 2 scores, like 45-28 or some shit like that at the time, right? And this man is calling run plays to Jahmyr Gibbs and shit. And that's when I was like, oh, they taking the ball out of Goff's hands right now, because now they don't trust him. They don't trust him to make a play. And you started seeing that. They got all the way downfield. They try to cut some time. Fuck it, let's kick the field goal real quick, get the ball back, score, which they could have did. I seen Detroit this year and last year come back from some crazy deficits and shit. So I was still watching like, nah, let's see what the fuck happens, right? But you do that, you start taking the ball out of Goff's hands a little bit, and I mean, like, all right, you don't trust him to make the big play or win a big game like that in a big spot, right? And then where I think they fucked up at, especially with these new rules where you gotta let them know that you're kicking the fucking onside, you lose the element of surprise. And don't get me wrong, they almost got it. They did the onside kick. They almost got it. If Pascal would have stayed on his fucking feet instead of, you know, because he swiped at that ball, but then he fell to the ground. It's like, yo, bro, you gotta follow through on that play and keep it alive. But whatever. They almost got it, but I don't think that was the spot right there. I think that with the 45-31 and with the time that was left was around like 9 minutes or some shit like that, you kick it off still, and you make it harder, and you force your defense to still make some plays, because even when they got the ball from where they was at, they forced them to kick a field goal, and they missed it. So imagine if you were able to get in a play, just, you know, get the crowd into it, get your guys to be like, hey, let's just gut this shit out, you know what I'm saying? If you have them back, and you actually force like a 4th and 6, because niggas was going for it every single 4th down in this game, and it was always 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 or 4th and 1. If you force a 4th and 6, maybe you get them to fucking punt the ball, or throw, or get JAYDEN to roll out and make a mistake and throw it out of bounds, or throw a ball where a defender gets a hand on the ball and shit. You know what I mean? And now all they gotta do, you know, you got field advantage to score, or you get the ball back, then you score. It's 45-38. Then you try to onside kick crazy like that and see what the fuck happens. You know what I'm saying? And then just, you know, fuck it. You went out like that and let the chips fall where they may and shit. But the other thing, too, that I kept seeing was what was fucking them up with Detroit in those instances is that they kept blitzing Jalen from the weak side, from his backside, chasing him. My nigga, this is an athlete. A nigga that could run, scramble, got speed, got agility, all that shit. He's going to run away from niggas. You gotta blitz quarterbacks like that, or any quarterback anyway, on their throwing hand. So that most they got to do, which they'll be, someone like Jayden Daniels, which will be able to do because he's mad athletic, is roll around and go to his left side, non-throwing side, right? But that's where you coach your guys. You coach your guys on the edge to set the edge right there, so at least you make it harder for him to get there. He can't go from right, running to his right, trying to throw it his right, then come to the left and go all the way. That's a lot he has to travel, which I don't doubt he could pull off with how good he is. But your defenders got to be coached to at least put the effort in to make that play. And they kept blitzing him on the weak side, not on his throwing shoulder from behind him, and he just ran away from niggas for first downs time and time again. And then the one play on 4th and 2 where they really needed that stop, and I called it. I said, you think they're gonna run this shit? It's a bootleg. They know they got Jayden Daniels. It's a bootleg to the right side. Was throwing, he's gonna bootleg. This is shit that I feel like this is shit that you know from like junior high when it's that close. It's a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. They got a running quarterback. They're gonna do a bootleg. They did a bootleg. Who's on the edge? At corner. Most outside man. Rookie. Terrion Arnold, who has had, seeing him highlights and watching games, he's had a good fair share, some boneheaded rookie mistakes and shit. Still a good player. Still a good player. I like his game, but he needs to tighten up. This motherfucker gets sucked in looking at his side. Like I said, inside run. But I'm like, from where you're at, what the fuck are you gonna do in there? You in the formation they was in too with the leverage, how it sets, you gotta set the edge, my boy. Nothing could be on your outside shoulder there. And they let this nigga Jayden Daniels do the bootleg and get the first down. So when you got injuries like that on defense and you're making mistakes like that, and you're making mistakes like 12 men on the field after you just got a stop where you're about to get a stop, another key stop, and they get a new set of downs to score a touchdown, 12 men on the field, getting little ticky-tack penalties, not setting the edge, little rookie mistakes and shit, you're going to get beat. You know what I mean? And the injuries on top of that too, so you can't overcome that, you're going to get beat. That's just the way the game go. But, good win by the Washington Commanders. I mean, Detroit, hopefully you're back there again. It's going to be real hard with 2 big coaches leaving. And they still got some stuff to do with that roster. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Now, let's get to this real quick with the Kansas City and Texans game. Won't lie to you, I only caught really the first quarter, a little bit of the second. There's a lot going on. But from what I was seeing, some of the plays I did catch, I was able to catch even in the second half. Kansas City with the refs, we know that the fix is in, man. The refs give them the reach around and give them the job every time, you know what I'm saying? Every single time. I thought it was kind of ridiculous, the first one I seen, that I actually seen in real time with Anderson. At first, I was like, oh, well, the head, and then I looked at it, I'm like, come on now, like, this is football. And right after that, I seen that, I was just like, hey, you know what time it is? Tom Brady treatment. You know what I mean? He's graduated now. He's in the stage of his career, especially with how much the Chiefs have won. They're looking to be the first team ever to three-peat. You know what I'm saying? He's graduated now in the stage of his career to get the Tom Brady treatment. We've all seen this movie before. It ain't nothing but a fucking rerun. You know what I'm saying? And, let's be real. We wouldn't be surprised if they win it all over again in three-peat. NFL likes to lean on the side of history. It just depends on which history that they want to choose and pick that's more likable for them. And right now, a team like the Chiefs, which is basically a dynasty, of the newest dynasty now that we're able to witness, it's more likable. Honestly, let's be real. We all know certain shit be kind of, fishy and rigged and all this dumb shit or whatever. And once I seen, you see the Taylor Swift in there. We've been seeing that for a couple of years now. It's been annoying. But now you got the fucking combo. You know what I'm saying? You got the fucking American Sweetheart combo now. Once I seen Taylor Swift with Caitlin Clark and that shit in the boxing and all that, I was like, oh, yeah, it's clipped. Like, you already know it's finna go down. You know what I mean? I'm like, Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift? That bitch Taylor Swift don't know nothing about I don't know, basketball. You know what I'm saying? But in that part of the country, middle America, and in that area, Kansas and Iowa and all that shit, them type of people. You know what I mean? That's there, and that's what they want to see. And, they want to see Kansas City keep winning them championships and all that shit. So you know what's up. And I think also some bullshit, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not gonna lie, I love the player. I love his game. All that, I respect his game. I respect how he is even off the field. You know what I mean? Like, seems like a good, really down-to-earth dude, cool and shit, but a little corny, but the corniest type where it's like, I can still fuck with him. He kind of funny. He kind of cool. Mahomes is that nigga. I like him. I can't say I have Mahomes hate in my body, even though, my teams that I want to see beat him, they don't win, but all right. But come on, man, with the flopping shit, you better than that. We're going to do the flopping shit now and then the fake. You're going to roll around and try and see an opening and, you acting like you still running but slide. Then the two defenders basically go helmet to helmet to each other, not on Mahomes, and then it's a flag. Come on, man. We know that's some bullshit, son. We know the fix is in. And that's another thing, too, is like, I fuck with Andy Reid, too. I've always loved Andy Reid. You know what I mean? And I don't think this is some, a lot of people are thinking it's the same exact thing as the Patriots, which this is not that. That we could tell, like, Belichick and Brady, they be in cahoots and conversating with the refs throughout the season, especially. They probably have some little fucking conference and shit right before the playoffs about shit. This right here, I think, it's a NFL, it's a league thing for the business, and it's the refs thing. But now the way that Patrick Mahomes actually been performing this year, and that little flop shit in this last game, and that little slide shit in this game, and I think that nigga probably in contact now and in cahoots with the refs and saying little shit, because now he know the power that he got, and he try to be on some NBA player type shit. Which is, that shit is out, son. That shit is fucking, You better than that. Because that shit is soft, that shit is bullshit. I don't think there's a place in the game of football for that kind of fucking nonsense. But I don't think really Andy Reid is into that type of shit. I think Andy Reid's just a great coach. He also knows the rules of a lot of things. And I think sometimes, you've seen in the past few years, even he look at some shit sometimes, scratching his head like, oh, word, that's a flag? But... Andy Reid, I'll leave him out of that because he's been on the other end of those type of calls so many fucking times, even with the Chiefs. You know what I mean? So, I just know that, the fix is in and shit with that. But the Texans, another team, they good and everything, well coached, great. And I like what D'Amico Ryan said. Yo, talk your shit because you're a good coach, you that nigga and shit. Like, you knew the fix was in, you knew that you were going to be going against the world. You know what I'm saying? You knew that. The players knew it, all that. But I'm not even going to, use that as an excuse for them because on defense, they still played hard. They still played really good and everything for the most part. On offense, Stroud got hurt a little bit early and everything like that. Got a little nicked up. So kind of wasn't really in rhythm, but they still tried to gut it out. But, tough loss for the Texans. They knew what they was up against. I'm not worried about them. They got a great fucking coach. They'll be back. They just got to revamp in some places, especially that fucking O-line. They especially got to revamp at the receiver spot because guys got hurt. But then, the drop-off was significant. Diggs is going to be a free agent. He's most likely not going to come back. I can't see them wanting to sign him back like that. Especially off an injury and money that he's probably going to want to command. Real quick, I'm gonna be that guy real quick at a time and actually record it instead of just saying it to myself and not saying, they should fuck around and try and pull off a trade with the Jets to get Garrett Wilson. They used to play with each other. They probably still got that synergy, but it would be good to have that type of receiver who could be meticulous a bit with their routes or they get off on the line. And you have Nico Collins there. Tank Dell had a gruesome injury. He's probably not going to be back soon. Hopefully he is. But, also his career with the injuries he's had back-to-back and stuff going on with his body off the field, hopefully he can still continue a career. But in the meantime, you should go shoot for Garrett Wilson and draft somebody who's kind of ready-made to play in the slot. You know what I'm saying? And definitely get an offensive lineman, because C.J. Stroud cannot be running around and getting hurt like that. So there goes that. Now, quick hits real quick before I wrap everything up for today. Baltimore and Buffalo. It's a tough one. Could kind of go either way, but I don't really like the Ravens in this spot right now. Something's just telling me, unfortunately, that the Bills got this one, and Josh Allen is going to try and impose his will in this game and try and punk them. And they're going to do some nice schemes and everything with Cook as well, and maybe throw the ball around to some niggas that you don't even think about and shit, like Mac Hollins getting a catch or a touchdown or some crazy shit like that here or there, or some crazy first downs here or there, or Ray Davis or fucking Ty Johnson. So I think the Bills pull this one out, but the main thing, like I said last week, Baltimore has to execute on defense and offense. That's the only way they win this game. The last 2-3 playoff appearances for them in big games, I would say even the last 4 or 5 years, they've been going to playoffs for a while, right? They beat themselves. Lamar beats himself. The defense beats themselves. That's really the only team that could beat the Ravens is the Ravens. As long as the coaches, down to the scheme, down to the players, execute and don't put it up to the rest. No crazy penalties on Josh Allen, because he likes to talk and he likes to instigate. You know, like, he'll do it on some instigating shit, not no flopping shit and this and that. He'll do it on some instigating because he know how to talk shit. You know, that's one thing I kind of respect about him, you know what I mean? Like, that nigga know how to get in your head type shit and still ball on you. But they got to execute on both sides of the ball. Don't beat themselves. Don't let the Bills get in their head. And they have a chance to win. Will they win? Shit, we got to watch the fucking game. But the Bills probably more favored to me in this spot, especially being at home. Niggas talking about the weather. Nigga, Baltimore playing that weather too. They get snow too. It ain't like in Buffalo. Yeah, that shit is crazy. And their fans are crazy as fuck. So that's what the advantage is right there. But other than that, they got to execute. But the Bills in this spot, I think, going to win. Rams, Eagles. Motherfuckers is a little bit hype and gassed off of what they did last week against Minnesota. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real. They had a great season, but it's Minnesota. Philly and the Rams, it's going to be Philly. I think it's going to be Philly. You know, those fans out there, you know, they playing in that weather. The Rams defense is still going to give them a bit of a hard time, maybe. A bit of a hard time. It's going to be rugged, rough and rugged, but, you know, let's be real. You know, I got the Eagles here. Plus, you know what I'm saying, I'm from the tri-state area, that northern area. Like, this is the type of weather, this is the time of year that we live for, to play football in, to play football, basketball, whatever in. You know what I mean? So I know that them boys is ready to win that shit. Might get interesting, you know what I'm saying? Cool, but I think that Rams have a hard time even just scoring a touchdown for a while in this one. Or if they do, it'll be something wonky like 27-9 or 23-9 or 17-9 Eagles, some shit like that. And then, yeah, I think that's how it's going to go down. And the way it's looking right now, I'm going to say it right now, too. It looks like we're headed for the fucking rematch, possibly, of Kansas City and Philadelphia. You know, we're looking to that rematch again. You know, big game there. It was weird at the end, but it was great. They went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No defensive plays really made, but looks like we're going to see that rematch again. But let's be real, it probably will be fun to watch Kansas City versus Washington Commanders. You know what I'm saying? But we'll talk about that on the next one. Then I'm going to wrap up here. You know, once again, it's the Franchise Guy, a.k.a. the Franchise Kid, a.k.a. Young Sport. You know, anyone out there that's tuning in, I appreciate it and everything like that. You know, just still rolling here. Try getting a little rhythm and a vibe. I keep doing what I do like I do it for TV. You know, it's another volume here. It's playoff season. Y'all have fun out there watching the games. And y'all be easy out there.